Last night, shots were fired, and the target was one of the most powerful men in the world. Donald Trump was rushed away within seconds. Security agents moving faster than anyone could react. The attacker was captured. The situation was contained. And within hours, officials gave their statement. They said it was a lone attacker. No larger network. No bigger plan. Case closed. But what if that is not the full story? What if this was not just a random act, but something designed to send a message? Because sometimes, events are not as simple as they appear. Sometimes, timing matters more than the act itself. And this attack came at a moment when global tensions were already at a breaking point. So the real question is not just who pulled the trigger. The real question is, why now? And what if this incident is connected, even indirectly, to something much bigger that is already unfolding? Because if it is, then the next 48 hours are not just important. They are dangerous. Right now, the world's attention is shifting toward one critical location. A place that most people have heard of, but few truly understand. The Strait of Hormuz. This narrow stretch of water carries nearly 20% of the world's oil supply every single day. It is one of the most strategic and sensitive on Earth. If something goes wrong here, the effects are not local. They are global. And right now, something is already going wrong. The United States has significantly increased its military presence in the region. Warships are patrolling key. Surveillance systems are active. Aircraft are monitoring every movement. At the same time, Iran has also moved its forces closer. Fast attack boats are being deployed. Coastal defense systems are on alert. Missiles are positioned. This is not a normal situation. This is a standoff. And when two powerful forces stand this close to each other, the margin for error becomes dangerously small. Now here is where things start to connect. After the shooting incident, global attention shifted instantly. Media coverage exploded. Political reactions started pouring in, but while the world was watching that story, something else continued quietly in the background. Oil shipments began slowing down. Tankers started delaying their routes. Some companies chose to avoid the region entirely. And when oil stops moving, everything starts to shake. Prices begin to rise. Markets become unstable. Governments start to prepare for worst-case scenarios. This is no longer just a political issue. This is now an economic pressure point. And pressure, when it builds up, always leads to a breaking point. Now let's talk about the hidden reality behind all of this. Iran is currently under intense pressure. Its oil exports are being affected. Its economy is facing strain. And time is not on its side. So the question becomes, what can Iran do next? There are three possible paths. The first path is direct action. Iran could try to break the pressure by challenging the situation in the strait. This could mean escorting oil tankers with military protection. It could mean confronting U.S. naval forces directly. It could even mean a small show of force designed to push back. But this path is extremely risky. Because when military forces engage at close distance, even a small mistake can turn into a full-scale conflict within minutes. The second path is patience. Iran could choose to wait, to avoid direct confrontation, to hold its position and hope that pressure decreases over time. But waiting comes at a cost. Economic stress increases, internal challenges grow, and over time the situation becomes harder to control. The third path is the most unpredictable, a hidden move, something indirect, something that does not happen openly. This could include cyber operations, proxy actions, or activity in another region designed to shift attention and balance. This is the most dangerous path. Because when actions are hidden, responses become uncertain, and uncertainty leads to escalation. Now here is the most critical point in this entire situation. Iran cannot stay in this position forever. At some point, a decision must be made. And according to many analysts, that decision window is closing fast. Not in weeks, not in days, but in hours. This is where the idea of the 48-hour countdown comes in. Because when pressure reaches a certain level, action becomes unavoidable. Now let's go deeper. What happens if something goes wrong in these next 48 hours? First, we need to understand how quickly things can escalate. In such a tense environment, military forces operate under high alert. Decisions are made in seconds. Communication must be perfect. But what if it is not? What if a signal is misunderstood? What if a warning shot is misinterpreted? What if a routine maneuver is seen as a threat? These are not unlikely scenarios. In fact, history shows that many major conflicts did not begin with planned decisions. They began with confusion, with pressure, with a single moment that no one could reverse. Now imagine this. A tanker is moving through the strait. A naval vessel approaches. A warning is issued. Something goes wrong, and within minutes, the situation escalates. This is how fast things can change. Now let's look at the global impact. If the Strait of Hormuz is disrupted even for a short time, the consequences are massive. Oil supply drops. Prices spike. Stock markets react instantly. Countries that depend on this oil begin to panic. This is not just about one region anymore. This becomes a global crisis. And once multiple countries become involved, controlling the situation becomes much harder. Now connect this back to the opening event, the shooting incident. Whether connected or not, it has already increased tension. It has already added pressure. It has already made the situation more sensitive. Because in times like this, perception matters as much as reality. And when leaders feel threatened, responses become stronger, decisions become faster, and risks become higher. So now we come to the final question. What happens next? There are only two paths from here. The first path is stability. Diplomatic talks begin. Back-channel negotiations take place. Tensions slowly decrease. Oil flow resumes. Markets stabilize. And the world steps back from the edge. This is the best-case scenario. But it requires restraint. It requires control. It requires both sides to choose patience over reaction. Now the second path, the dangerous path. A confrontation, a miscalculation, a single moment where things go too far. If that happens, everything changes. The strait could be blocked. Oil supply could collapse. Prices could skyrocket, and other countries could be pulled into the situation. This is how regional tensions turn into global conflicts. Not instantly, but step by step, action by action. Until the situation is no longer in anyone's control. Right now, the world is watching, waiting, trying to understand what will happen next. Because this is not just about one incident. And it is not just about two countries. This is about a chain of events that could reshape the global balance. The countdown has already started, the pressure is building. And the next 48 hours could define the future. So when the moment comes, who will act first? And when they do, will it bring stability? Or will it trigger something far bigger than anyone expected?